HIPPE uses the most up-to-date information on budgeting concepts, financial education, and credit information. We are educated professionals that bring the very best practices from experts in their fields for free as community charity.
HIPPE is not responsible or otherwise liable for any advice, guidance, or instruction that creates a negative outcome. Recommendations accepted by individuals are at the control and execution of those individuals, including all outcomes therein.
Aloha, and welcome to HIPPE's Financial 101 Training and Budgeting Workshop.
I'm Joni.
I'm Rick.
Let's get started.
In today's session, we will be discussing credit management. Now, this is a very important topic because this is your fingerprint for the rest of your life. You can damage it or you can nourish it and then it will work for you in the future. We're going to break this down in a lot of terminology, so this one will have a lot of lecture and not as much discussion. Joni, what do we want to just discuss open air real quick before we get into this?
When you manage your credit, it's going to be helpful for those people to understand who you are. Example, if you're applying for a job and they do a background check, they're going to look at what your FICO score is to see if you're responsible in your daily lives.
And we'll keep it real. We know somebody that when they date, they ask them what their FICO score is, right?
True story.
True story. So these are some things we need to make sure that this digital fingerprint for us for the rest of our foreseeable future until it changes is well maintained. So how does it all start? It all starts by what is FICO? So what is FICO? It is the Fair Isaac Corporation score. And in the past, we're talking way before internet. There were regions and regions full of different bureaus, and that's these little bureaus. That's what they did for their job. That was their business. They analyzed people and what debts they held, and then they judged them in order to give them future financing. Now, fast forward, here we are well into the future, and there are only 3 bureaus have survived. They are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, how do they calculate differently, Joni? What do you think? How do they calculate differently?
I'm not sure. They're all independent of each other. They're different.
If I were to ask you, what are the secret ingredients to Kentucky Fried Chicken? What can you tell me?
Oh, it's their secret sauce, whatever it is, their spices.
It's their secret sauce. There's 7 herbs and spices, guys and gals. All these credit bureaus, that's their secret herbs and spices. It is their intellectual property. So what you can do is research. So when we do research credit management, every once in a while, through the ways that we search, and we're going to talk about that, you'll get a little bit of slivers here and there. You're going to get a taste here or there about the little tips and tricks where they say, this is how you improve your credit score by doing X, Y, or Z. These are the things we collect over time. And if you have enough of these little hints, they're almost like spoilers or teasers. And if you have enough of it, you kind of understand the whole movie, right? That's how it is with credit management. You can start getting a little bit of this information here or there to where you have a collective amount of analysis to know how to manage yourself. Welcome to how we manage our credit scores. Let's show you where we see ourselves in the big picture. We have here a chart, and on this chart, we see credit scores as high as 800 plus, all the way down to 580. And yes, the chart goes backwards. So we have different regions in our credit scores. Well, we have the poor first off, then we have the fair, the good, the very good, and exceptional. Now, let's really digest where we're at. And what score do we start seeing incentives? Well, what I will tell you is by watching and researching where credit scores go, we start seeing a lot of incentives open up in that good zone. You can see that good zone is from 670 all the way to 739. Inside that zone, usually once you surpass around 700 credit score, doors will start opening for you. You'll start seeing, what do we have out there? That always happens. As soon as somebody's credit score goes up, what are some of those things?
Oh, you'll see credit card offers come in, low interest rates or lower interest rates.
Yep, you'll see all these different consolidation debts. You're pre-approved this, you're this, that.
0% promotional period for this.
Introductory rate that, no annual fee this. All these things will start revealing themselves to you, and you have a choice, right? You have a crossroads. Do we dive in and take advantage of this? Or do we sit back and say, this is just a gimmick to allow me to somehow pay you in the future from my mismanagement? Again, credit, we always say this, it's a tool, it's a weapon. And if you use it correctly, it works for you in the good. If you use it wrongly, if you use it in a wrong way, it works in a bad way. So we have to make sure we are getting ourselves up this chart towards that exceptional credit score and not down to the poor end. Or we'll lose our financing and ways that you can get yourself financed for your future financial wealth. And that includes a job. All right. We have several categories of how our credit worthiness is decided. So let's break down these key 5 areas, and we're going to show you where we start building ourselves up from ground up all the way up to as far as 10 years. First thing in the credit is the payment history. Payment history is actually 35% of your score. This is all your on-time payments that you're making over the life of a line of credit while you have an installment loan while it's open. All these on-time payments will be that green check mark, will be that dash line or anything that shows us in your credit history when you analyze and see your credit report. All these things that show us that it's just good. It's operating the way it should. You're getting no derogatories, right? Which is 30 days over the calendar month. You start getting hit with the 30-day derogatory. You're going to want to avoid that. You're going to want to make sure that all these payments are on time. Now, the good news is if you're continuing to make on-time payments, then maybe old stuff from way back when, plus 7 years ago or under 7 years ago, just about to fall off, they'll begin falling off. Then those bad payments here or there are now falling 7 years plus. Now they're gone. They're out of your picture. We don't see them anymore. What are some other things that we concentrate on with payment history and on-time payments, Joni? Anything you want to air out?
No, you got it. You hit it.
This is technical, so everybody hang on for this ride. The next one is credit utilization. This is 30% weight of your score. And truth be told, this is the easiest thing to fix if you have the money to fix it. Credit utilization, we talked about it in the debt management course, and that is the debt to credit ratio. The healthiest zone to be at is 30% and better. So we have to make sure that this is based on all cards, all revolving debt. Cumulatively, all cards are assessed, all active balances against all lines of credit. You're going to want to make sure you stay 30% or better. Anything on this, Joni?
No, just make sure if it's $1,000 balance that you have available, you want to spend $300, simply put.
Simply put, that'll keep you out of harm's way. And there's a little trick to credit utilization. That's why we maintain a very good credit score. One of the easiest ways to fix credit utilization is just to ask the bank for a higher limit. And if the bank gives us a higher limit, it changes your debt to credit ratio.
But don't go spending.
But don't go spending. You know, a perfect example is what Joni just discussed, right? You have a $1,000 credit limit, you spend $300. What happens as soon as we ask the bank, can you increase my line of credit? Let's say we increase it to $2,000. That 30% utilization just changed to 15% utilization without spending a dime. They just went ahead and approved it. We're not going to spend it, but they just allowed you to fix your credit score instantly. 30% weight of your score, guys and gals. Age of credit accounts. How many people do we know have a card over 10 years? How many cards do we know, the store cards that end up falling off, the Victoria's Secrets, the Macy's cards? How many cards have you had, Joni, where they just kind of died and left?
Oh, quite a few.
Right? You think it's no big deal, but that is a line of credit. That is a revolving credit line. And when it dies, so does the age of that card. So if you're doing everything you can to make sure those on-time payments are there, it's doing great. And then just by chance, based on the terms and conditions that you sign, they decide to terminate your card. Now, as soon as they terminate your card for lack of use, guess what happens to the age of credit line? It starts going away. And it's going to continue going away and fall off. That entire age is gone. Now, somehow, we have to use the rest of our credit picture to support your credit score. What if you don't have any debt anymore? Now we have a problem where you don't have anything financed. But again, if your credit limits are there and you have other cards that are still healthy, right, and are open, those things will remain living. You just have to keep them alive. One way I do it all the time is I call it the 11-month rule. Of course, check the terms and conditions on your cards, but I have a box just as well as some other people have a box, and in that box lives a card or two. And every once in a while, I take out that card and I mark it on my calendar. Every 11 months, I'll go spend on it, I'll put it away, and I have an automatic payment set up for it. Why do I do that?
Well, you do it so that you can keep the age of the credit card. But what I do is I actually program it in my phone. So my phone tells me to make a charge card payment or charge on that particular card and then pay it off.
And I'll be the first one to tell you, I set it up for automatic payment. So just in case, if I'm going to spend it one time in 11 months, just in case a term or condition changes to an annual 12-month, and I've heard from some people that it lowers even lower for what I call a boutique credit card, like some weird one that you have no idea where you've never seen this card ever before, but they give you a credit card. Sometimes their terms are even less. So what you want to make sure of is if I'm going to spend this one time in 11 months, do you think I'm going to remember to pay the minimum payment on this thing? Everything I have is minimum payment, automatically paid. And why do I do that? To make sure I have on-time payment history. I don't want to mess that up, so I'm going to make sure this is a minimum payment. Why I say that is because I help fix people all the time in everything that we do within this nonprofit. And I've seen it where they've missed that one payment, and then now they have to go fight for the rest of the next 7 years to keep the rest of their picture intact because they got a 30-day derogatory. Let's discuss what happens when your identity theft is stolen. We're going to talk identity theft, but in this case, if we accidentally not manage our cards and we let those stay dormant, and then your accounts now are pilfered and somebody's racking up, credit on you, yes, this can actually harm you. So I'm pausing this purposely to reiterate that it's very important that you manage this 11-month rule and that on-time payment history by making that automatic payment, because it's better to pay a minimum payment on an identity theft that racked up points than to go fight with the bureaus to get that removed from the system. Okay, we'll talk about that here in a bit. Let's get off that high horse. We're going to leave that with 15% of your credit score is the age of credit. Now let's talk account types. We call this the credit mix. And the easiest way to show you that is revolving, installment, and home loans. Now, when we break it down, it's really a mortgage, a car loan per se, and a credit card. That's really how it all balls up and how it all is shown inside your credit report. And we're going to want to make sure that we keep these in existence at all possible. Yes, we don't want an auto loan, okay? But if we are financing an auto loan for a while and it's built into, say, a 5-year term that exists in our credit report and is very strong with on-time payments, it's looking good for you. This is 10% weight of your score. Each one of these is a fraction of that 10%. So common sense will tell us that if I manage all 3 of these, I'm operating at the top 10%. And you know what? If all these other factors we talked about are healthy and I remove the auto loan, so I'm not paying an auto loan anymore, can my credit still be strong? Technically, according to this, about 6.6%-ish will still remain strong. That's a pretty good little nugget there that we can walk away with knowing we're doing something well. Lots of technical stuff. Joni, do you have anything in the middle of all this technical stuff?
No, you hit it again.
Let's get through this as soon as we can so we can get to the dialogue. The next piece is the credit inquiries. There are hard pulls and soft pulls, hard inquiries and soft inquiries. Hard inquiries are when they actually use your social security number, a lender, any kind of institution to actually pull your credit and judge you. When you do it for yourself, that's a different story. That's considered a soft pull. There's many versions of that, which we will talk. But a hard pull is 10% of your score. So you'll hear me say it over and over again. Do not let anybody touch your credit until you're 100% confident and competent in what it is you're trying to do financially. That is the only time you allow somebody to touch your score. Next thing is looking at these different rules that are out there. So we just talked now about all 5 key areas. Now let's talk about all these little rules that are out there and how they affect you. The first one is the 30-day FICO rule, which is also the 45-day FICO rule. And those still both live in some fashion, but it's easier to make sure we manage it at a 30-day window. Now, what do we say when we talk the 30-day FICO rule? 30-day FICO rule is a incentive to all shoppers out there that will allow you to shop around for the best type of financing and then make your decision at that point. Now, after those 30 days, if you did your shopping around, they will consider that one inquiry and the rest of the inquiries will wash away. Now, that's if you're shopping for a car and you go to 5 other dealerships for that car. Now, Joni, what do you think is going to happen if I go to get a car, they pull my credit, then I go to look at a boat and they pull my credit, then I look at a motorcycle, they pull my credit, then I apply for a credit card, they pull my credit. What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, it's going to lower your score, definitely.
Yes, that all is different industries. Those are all different industries. They will affect you in a harmful way. So it only works if you're actually shopping around in the industry of what it is you're trying to finance. And then, of course, when we really look at protecting yourself with that harder inquiry, you can see everything on a softer inquiry. There are some tools we're going to discuss even more, like annualcreditreport.com. That's one of them. What are some of the other tools that we have?
Credit Karma, and then there's Experian app, or Experian.com.
Yes. Now, these are not only views of your credit report, but these are actually providing you a consumer credit score.
And it's free.
And it's free. Now, again, be very careful At what free means. Sometimes you might be drawn in on some of these apps to go, oh, come over here to see your credit score on the other apps, and it's going to begin putting you into a paid service. Back out and follow the free services. Even though they're there to protect you and give you some incentive for seeing your stuff, they're still a business and they're going to make some kind of marketing, advertising, and put you in some kind of program. So back out and use all the free services. And essentially, with Credit Karma and Experian, you can see all three bureaus and you're going to see your consumer credit score. What I will tell you is your consumer credit score is in no way your real credit score. Lenders look at all these negative things very, very harshly. So if you have one derogatory, we're going to look at it very harshly. If you have a missed mortgage payment in 6 months, we're going to look at that harshly. We're going to be looking at all these things against you, when a consumer view is just going to give you a nice, pleasant view of what your score may be. The higher your score, though, I like to consider it like a pyramid. The higher your score is, the better chances you'll have less variance. Just to get yourself into a credit score roughly in the area of 740 and above, a lot of things positive have to be happening inside your credit picture just to get there, right? So there's going to be less variance from when we see your real score. Next topic. Ooh, this is a big one, Joni. Identity theft.
So identity theft is it's still here. It's everywhere. There are tactics that people use. They use RFID. They use skimmers. So the RFID is a radio frequency ID that they can actually pull your information off of your credit card from about 30 feet away. That's actually pretty close. There are skimmers. The skimmers are at ATM machines. They could be at restaurants even. They could be cameras that watch you.
Yes.
Put in your PIN code and get your data and information too.
Now, I'm not going to scare you and tell you don't go to a restaurant, but in a lot of the protections that are out there, we want to make sure everybody understands that you need to watch where your credit card goes. And you got to make sure you're going to trusted places that you're giving your credit card, or in some cases, your debit card. Okay. Joni mentioned in some other classes that there is a difference between when you use a credit card and a debit card. We have to make sure we're using these at the right time. For example, if I used a credit card and somehow somebody, a waiter or waitress, we're not saying that's a bad industry or nothing, but we're talking about bad actors out there. They could be anywhere. Let's say somebody's a bad actor and they take that card of yours and skim it into a device before they ring you up. As they skim it, they're taking your pieces of all the data that's inside that credit card of who you are and what that credit card is. Now, can that be harmed you? Can that be used against you in a harmful way? Absolutely. They can spend against you on this and rack up your stuff, right? Now, if you use a credit card, you're protected. FDIC and all these other things that are out there will protect you. The bank will investigate it and they'll give you the money back. What happens if it's a debit card? It becomes a challenge, right? Have you seen anybody?
Yeah. So what happens is the bank will actually hold the money for possibly a couple days just to do their own research into what happened for you.
And while they're holding it, you got a car payment, you got the rent payment, you wrote the check already, you got to go get groceries. All these things are going to be on a halt. So be very careful on how we protect ourselves whenever we're using something, a device of sort to pay if it's not hard cash. I'm a big proponent of using a credit card. You're protected just as long as you're paying it back. Now, it's not good debt. It's not bad debt. It's no debt. You're paying it off within 30 calendar days. That's how you use credit efficiently to avoid yourself from falling into any pitfalls. But that does leave you open and subject to victimizing from identity theft.
So there's some things that you can protect yourself by using an RFID blocker. Wallets have them, purses have them. You can shop. The department stores will have them. It'll say specifically there's an RFID blocker for you so nobody can get your information off of your credit card. And that's typically when you have the chip. And the chip that we have on our credit cards are actually fairly new, but in other countries, they've had it for over 2 decades. So the US is actually new to having this chip, which was only 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
There's some countries that don't even use cash anymore, and everything is based on some kind of device, right? We've seen it all. So bottom line, you need to protect yourself from somebody else making a clone of you. Now let's get into the fun topics here. Let's get out of the rut of all that negativity. Let's talk about the positive. And the positives are the perks. Joni, what are some things on how we choose credit cards?
Be very choosy with credit cards because For me, what I like to do is I like to spend on something. However, I want to get something back in return because I'm spending money using their credit card. There's miles that you can get. There's points that you can get. Those points can sometimes give you gift cards to different outlets, different stores. Be sure you do the research on those perks and what works for you best.
Yeah, and are you actually going to use those perks? It makes no sense for me to get an Alaskan Miles card when I'm never going to fly Alaska, right? I'm never going to fly Alaska Airlines, so why am I going to get a mileage card for it? Well, I'm never going to buy a GM car. I don't think I'm going to, so why am I going to get a GM card that's going to give me points towards making a car bill or
But
something?
if you shop at Costco and then you have their Citibank Costco card, you get something in return for spending all that money that we normally don't intend to shop, but we actually buy more
Yes.
when we shop at Costco.
Hey, and you
But you
stay,
get something back, your Costco cash card at the end of the year.
and
or
if you're a
something.
flyer and you go to this one airlines that all local people enjoy flying on because it's a local airlines, then you're going to get points for that local airlines as you spend money on that card. It's a very popular card that's out there. Everybody knows that. If you know that card, you know that card. So these are perks, and perks only matter if you're actually going to use it. If you're not going to use it, it's not worth investigating into it or getting it.
But sometimes with those perk credit cards, there are different interest rates as well as annual fees. So you have to determine, well, is it worth to pay the annual fee so that you can get those perks? And is that interest rate a little bit higher, but you're okay with it and you still want those perks?
Yes. All that math applies.
So,
If it's an annual payment, can I get more perks than the annual payment costs me? Am I going to use that same amount of perk to at least equal out or benefit from it? The interest, okay, if you can somehow not pay interest on that card, spend on it, pay it off in full, now you just got all those points and perks and you got charged no interest. Now you're beating the game of capitalism. Now you're using the bank against themselves. They're giving you money and points for you to turn around and pay them back, and you're getting a reward for that. You're beating the system. That's the goal that you're trying to achieve on this positive end of credit management. Then, the way I try to balance this out is, and what pretty much is what Joni and I just said in total is, does one positive and one negative equal a good? If it does, you're doing the right thing with your credit. You're doing the right thing on how you're choosing to go about building your credit, using your credit, financing, being resourceful, creating good debt, and then actually financing your future wealth. And it just continues going on from there. Joni, what else do we have on this?
how to start building your credit?
Yeah, building credit, it's a challenge, and sometimes you got to start from nothing. So there's a few ways. One way is a secured credit card. Joni, how do we work secured credit cards?
So with secured credit cards, you have a bank account, and the bank will actually loan you money, give you a credit card based off of your balance in your checking or savings account. And so that's what your balance would be, is whatever's in your account, because that is their collateral to secure that credit card.
So usually when you insert this money, you'll get it back eventually. And when you get it back, now you actually have an established line of credit because you made on-time payments. Whatever it is you spent, you paid it back. You show that you are trustworthy. Another way is to be a co-signer or co-borrower, or be added to a card with somebody else. Now, it's hard to be a co-signer or a co-borrower when you don't have any credit. So usually in most cases, you're actually being added as an authorized user to somebody else's credit history. Now, over time, that will begin blending over to you and will start giving you that on-time payment history, age of credit line. That will begin working for you in a positive way. Most importantly, out of this topic is, how are we going to improve our credit? How are we going to continue keeping it at a great level? How are we going to harness it and then begin using it for ourselves? I think that's the most important thing that we want you to walk away with, is pay attention to how you're actually managing your day-to-day, and find out the way to beat the system. Find out how to pay less to the banks and more towards your perks. Find out a way that you can stop paying interest charges and start paying yourself back. Find a way to start building that future financial wealth by managing that debt. And the only way you can get there is by managing that credit. How do we check our credit? Credit is checked actually through those resources. We mentioned them. Annualcreditreport.com is one of the easiest ways. You can do it from a laptop, and you can check each bureau every single year. So in 1 year, you can check each individual bureau 3 times, right? Or altogether 3 times. It's a great tool. And it's right there online. You can print a copy of it and hold on to it until it's time to check it again. Disputing is pretty tricky. Disputing will require you to show proof that it was not you and all that identity theft that we talked about. Now, if you just are arguing about the debt, that's a whole different topic. We're not arguing with them that you just think it's unfair. If it's there, it's there. You can't fight that. But if it wasn't you, you can have that removed. Lastly, is this really your credit picture? Is this your credit history? Did you make that debt or not? I just talked to somebody today. It said, my name was used on these 2 credit lines in 2018 and 2020. And he said, this was not me. And what it is there's a records check in the state of Hawaii with the same name. And they looked at him and said, I think you owe us money. He said, no, I don't. This was not me. I wasn't even here. My credit report doesn't even show it. It's not me, guy. And they were able to take that away and show him that it was not his. These are things that we have to make sure we are protecting ourselves with. And we can't do that unless we have the right tools and the right knowledge and training. Joni, in closing, what can we walk away from this training with?
You have the tools, and Rick's gone over everything that will help you build your credit. Use them, analyze yourself. You can improve your score yourself. You don't always have to pay somebody else to do it. You can do it yourself.
Absolutely. Take care of your credit so it can take care of your future financial wealth. Thank you, everybody, for attending this. We are glad to be here. We're glad to be serving the community. Please find us on Facebook or IG at hippe.education and
check out our website at www.hype-education.org, as well as on YouTube. Search Hype Podcast, and please like and subscribe.
Absolutely. Thank you for allowing us to be here as part of the community. We are here to empower individuals, families, and their future every single day. You can also find us on Olelo, and we hope that we will continue being around. Everybody take care.
Aloha.